All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Art of Awesomeness podcast. I'm your host, Adrian Kiswani, accompanied today by your also host, Christian Caito. Welcome, Christian.
Hello.
And today we are on episode 62 of the Art of
Yes.
Awesomeness. We are going to be talking about some pretty cool stuff today. Yeah, I like how you're facing that way. Can you not sit like normal, or is it too hard for you to sit?
Well, we're having a casual conversation, right?
Yeah, I just want to make
What
sure you're
camera?
comfortable, to be honest.
I'm comfortable. What camera?
Okay. I don't know.
Just between
Actually,
you
I have
and
no
me.
idea. All right. Well, of course, we do have the first order of business. We missed an intermission last time, so we're going to give you guys an intermission
Let's
this time.
go.
Happy National... Now, how do you say it correctly?
Ambrosia.
Okay. Ambrosia.
It's like a mix of different things. I guess you can put coconut and different like passion fruit in it, but it's like a salad. It's like a salad
really?
of different things, basically. Ambrosia.
Oh, okay. Did not know that. That sounds...
Well,
Okay, this is my favorite one. National Ding-a-ling Day.
yeah. You know
Which
what that
is it a food?
No.
What is it?
Here's a hint.
All right. Next is...
It's giving a call to people that you haven't talked to in a while. That you used to talk to a lot.
Got it. Okay.
So it's like if we got in a fight, I would call you and we haven't talked for a while. I'd say, hey, what up?
Oh, cool. Sounds good. All right. National Gingerbread House Day,
Yes.
which, something cool about that's coming up soon.
Yes. So are we going to tell them later?
Well, I mean, we do it every year. Basically, yeah, we'll tell them later.
Gingerbread. Oh.
No, it's not a big deal. Okay.
Go.
And then Poinsettia Day.
I don't know how to say that. Poinsettia?
It's definitely Italian, and I'm saying it wrong.
Poinsettia.
Yeah.
Sabe de me chiamo
Poinsettia.
Poinsettia.
Poinsettia. I don't know.
De
So-
me chiamo Poinsettia.
It is what it is, and we're all good.
62.
But
62?
60 dose.
Adrian. That was nice. Good job.
Thanks.
Good job.
All right. So basically, today on the Art of Awesomeness, we're going to be discussing what I think is it's a topic that we can. Yeah, sorry about that.
No,
It's a topic that we can probably go a few different ways on, but I'm just gonna, I guess, say the prompt, and then whatever kind of path you want to go on it, we'll just kind of bounce off from there. But
we're just two friends talking.
it's that's what this podcast is.
Yeah.
Basically, this podcast topic episode is high school the best 4 years of your life? Truthfully, and obviously, we're not gonna, we're not, I guess you could say, past college adults, that kind of a thing with like wives and kids and stuff like that. So like, we can't really say, it's not the best 4 years of your life in comparison to a lot of life that we've had afterwards. But from a college student perspective,
I thought you were gonna be like, truthfully, no.
yeah, well, and that's the end. Thank you guys for watching. But it's basically, from a college student's perspective, we're going through finals right now. You just finished today.
I did.
So congrats
Actually,
for that.
thank you. I finished. I told you, but college statistics, man.
Yeah, dude. I took psychological statistics and I did not like it.
That's the same thing. Is it the same thing? You got a good grade in that grade.
I did.
Class, though. You got a B. I pulled out with a C.
You pulled.
Okay, that's okay. Listen, here's the thing. I could have said I pulled out with a D, but
That's true. That's true.
I
Respect.
didn't pull out with a D. So
Respect.
Mom doesn't watch. Anyway,
Mine too. So it's fine.
I had a D in that class. A D.
Dang.
A D plus or something.
I don't think there's such thing as a D plus.
It was a D,
Think it's a
and
D.
I did the exams. I worked hard, and I pulled out with a C in the class. There's this thing. I got the email. It was like, "Hey, don't listen to Canvas. This is your grade." And I matched it to these numbers, and it was a C. And I'm really proud of that, man. College statistics, no lectures, online, teaching myself college level statistics.
Oh, so that's weird. In
Yeah.
the statistics class, they didn't give you any kind of a lecture. That's weird.
Only like here, like in a blue moon before an exam. But I'm proud. So I told my mom. She was like, "It's not good." My dad John found out. He was like, "It hurts your GPA." And I'm like, and he's like, when she came home, because I told her, and she was picking up my dad at the airport, and she was like, "Well, it's not good, but I mean, I guess it's not good, but I'm proud of it." And,
my mom, she'll jokingly say she does not like us getting C's or anything like that. Like she's definitely like for the A's, but because she's like a straight A student, so she's always like pushing us, But she always kind of said a funny saying to us, like C's get degrees or something like that.
I was about to say that right now.
Yeah. But one quote that I actually take kind of seriously, like I try to do my best in school. Like I don't try and like slack off or anything like that. Like I do try and do my best, but I don't maybe focus on grades the same way some people do. Like there was that one Elon Musk quote. I'm sure I've said it on the podcast before, and I'm sure I've said it to you. But he was like, I didn't go to Harvard, but people who work for me did, you know. So he's just kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like people who went to Harvard work for Elon Musk. He didn't graduate Harvard or go to any of that, you know. So it's.
Did he go to college?
I don't know. I think he might have been a dropout, but I'm not sure.
Of course. What does that say?
Exactly. Like it's kind of a common theme. Yeah.
Jobs.
But like I like that quote, you know, because it's kind of like, you know,
it puts it in perspective.
Yeah, and I think the reason for that, there was like a psychological reason for that, which you might know because you took psychology. I don't know how many years ago you did, but like it was basically this idea that people who like are really, really like gung-ho on getting straight A's and stuff like that, and being very, very obedient to the system and stuff like that, and don't try and deviate very much and just do, you know, everything that they can to be like obedient to getting that grade. They have a very kind of employee worker aspect to them of their mindset, where their whole goal is to like work towards a certain standard for something else. Whereas like not necessarily slackers, but people who don't necessarily get perfect grades or something like that, but still have like hobbies and pursue other things that they're really passionate about or interested in. Those people end up being a bit more innovative than the people who maybe got straight A's all the time.
I watched a video about that too. I didn't learn in my psych class, but I saw a video about that where it was kind of similar to what you were saying, how it's kind of a tendency for people that are strive only towards like getting straight A's are kind of like robots, just regurgitating information. And where I guess I think you explained it a little bit better than how I remembered, but yeah.
I just thought that was kind of interesting, and I'm not necessarily like you should try and get C's instead of A's. Like I'm definitely one to try and get the highest grade that I can, but I don't really like, as long as I'm not failing a class, I'm not really getting too worried about it, because
that's true.
Yeah, and I think we talked about it before, where it was kind of like don't work for college, make college work for you, kind of a mindset.
Was that?
That was a long time ago. We have an excerpt on it called The College Mindset. We talked about it a little bit. That's how I remember it, but I don't remember what episode that was.
But yeah, that's
a little side tangent for you.
But that's true.
Yeah, no, it's cool. True. It's totally
true. So congratulations. And I'm here for you, man. Now that I finished, I'm here for you. I mean, I've always been there for you, but I mean, I'm more here for you now.
Okay, buddy.
You got 1 more week left. I mean, knock it out. You got big exams coming in?
Yeah, I do. I have plenty of projects to do. I have this one assignment for my physical geography lab class that I have to map out a route from Stockton to San Francisco to like a Google Coast Guard area through like Google Earth and stuff like that. And I basically have to like there's certain criteria that's laid out to where you have to find a resupply point every 9 miles, find a shelter every 12 miles, because you can only travel 12 miles in a day. And then essentially your goal is to like map a route that doesn't compromise on any of those factors.
Wow.
And make your way there with the presupposition that basically you're like one of the lone survivors of a zombie apocalypse.
What?
Yeah. And my professor's Dustin Tsai from Delta College, just shouting him out. He's a pretty good professor. But I took his lecture class and his lab class in separate semesters. So last semester I took his lecture, and now I'm taking his lab. So usually you take them side by side, but I took a semester apart.
Okay.
So it's kind of weird taking his lab instead of like, because he's like, you know, like I talked about in the lecture, I'm like, oh yeah, that was last year, you know, but like it's just kind of
that's true.
One of those things. But it's not too difficult. But that's like one of my finals where I feel like it's kind of a theme in college where it's not college isn't very difficult. I think it's just time consuming as heck. Yeah. You know, like
that's true.
In high school, I feel like the work isn't hard in high school, and also like the time it takes really isn't too bad. Like compared to college, I spend way more time on college assignments than I ever did high school assignments. Yeah. You know, like you read more, like the psychology chapters I read, they're, I don't know, like 50 pages or something like that. Like it's like a big solid book. So it's like, yeah, it's not as hard as I think it's like made out to be in high school.
Yeah.
But it's definitely like something that takes a lot more of your time and energy. Like I usually go to bed around maybe like 12 o'clock or 1 a.m.
Yeah, you're a night owl, huh?
Yeah, that's how I usually fall asleep. But last night specifically was an anomaly. I laid down. My head was hurting after working for a little while on the computer right here. My head was hurting a little bit, so I was like, I'm gonna lay down and I'm just gonna try and rest this off, And it was like 8 something at that time, and then I woke up, out of the blue at like 3 a.m. and I was like, oh shoot, I fell asleep, and so I ended up falling asleep. I don't know, what is it, like 3 or 4 more hours earlier than I usually do, and I was just trying to lay down to like
kind of stressed.
No, I don't really get stressed about school. I just like
What?
No, I don't. Well, like I don't get anxiety about school the way I know a lot of people do. A lot of people stress over finals to where it's a situation where they
like break out in hives.
Yeah, that kind of a thing, or like they get really just really nervous and stuff like that about things. I guess, like, I don't know, people who I know, like a lot of the smart kids during finals, they're just a wreck. They're drinking a bunch of coffee and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like
there's I think there's like a heavy emphasis on.
Yeah, it's almost like this is it, But for me, it's not it.
Yeah,
it's just something that
Yeah, for you, it sounds like you have a lot of plans in your mindset going into it. It's like you have a good backup plan. And I think that having that backup plan probably helps a lot when it comes to.
Yeah, I'll say this: I don't get stressed out the way most people do. Like, I don't get anxiety about taking tests and exams. I just get burnt out.
Mm-hmm.
That's me.
Yeah.
So whereas a lot of people stress before their finals, for me it's usually after. I'm just super burnt out and tired from it all because I exert a bunch of like mental energy just trying to put my best into it. And so then it's a situation where I'll take one exam and I'm super burnt out after, but then like an hour later I got to take another exam, and it's like one of them was I have one class, and one of the exams, it was the midterm. It was 70 questions in 70 minutes. And so it was those questions where it takes a little more than a minute to kind of figure it out. So it's definitely kind of a time crunch exam,
Yeah.
But but I know everyone's kind of going through finals right now at different rates. Like you and Sophie finished this week, so congrats.
Well, I think she's
trying to do something over winter break, right?
Yeah. She told you? Yeah,
she told me a little bit. We were talking earlier.
Yeah. I think she's trying to register for some classes next week, or attending like a little pre-seminar of like classes for her major.
Oh, okay.
So that's one.
Got it.
But about high school.
Yeah, high school. So,
Adrian,
I guess that's how we were in finals, just in case you wanted to know.
Yeah. Hope you guys are doing okay. For everyone out there taking finals, you got this.
Yeah, you got this. Don't worry. But I guess to get right into the meat of things, you want to ask a question?
Ask you a question.
Sure thing. Go ahead. I'm gonna drink water to stay hydrated. Stay hydrated, people.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Was it the best time of your life so far? I mean, you're right. That is kind of hard to answer when we don't have that much life experience after.
Yeah, right. It's like what, 2 years?
Yeah. I guess if I had to rephrase that question, and instead of just saying, "Is high school the best time of your life?" with the experience that you've had now, heading into your second semester of college, we're both in the same semester pretty much, right?
Yeah. We're going at the same pace.
Yeah. Heading into the second semester of your second year of college, has your views on anything that happened in high school, or just the way you valued some things more than others, has anything changed heading into this new semester? Not saying out of your whole life, is this the best time of your life? I'm like, as you're still young going into this time, has anything changed? Has anything changed? Anything you've gone through this semester, or anything that's maybe given a bit more or less weight to something that's happened.
So, like, retrospectively looking back,
Yeah.
has anything that happened now changed how I look at something then?
Yeah, or, you know.
Yeah, I would say that's a good question.
Right. That's deep.
Yeah, I think that maybe college overall has maybe downplayed some of the grandeur of high school. Like, both of us, I think when we went to high school, it was like a big thing, you know, like high school, we were going to make it an experience. We had like a things to do before high school list that was like 30 pages or something.
DIHS.
Yep, I still have it. And so like I think we went into it with a kind of larger than life mindset that we might have seen in the movies.
Yeah.
And I think that even in high school that diminished and changed because we got more of a real kind of taste for it. Yeah. But especially going forwards and looking back, I can see, and obviously having a sibling who's in high school and knowing my mom who works at the high school and, you know, hearing stories and stuff like that, I can definitely see where people get really trapped and confined into that one space that is high school, and it's near impossible to really see with any clarity outside of your campus. Like your whole life is high school for like 4 years. But looking back at it, I realized that especially as someone who is in college and who has more opportunities now and who's more autonomous, you know, in the sense that, like, you know, I have a car, I have a job, I have some money, I can like go places and do things.
I have a car. Yeah.
Well, just like the idea that like you can take your experiences outside of your town, outside of your high school, you know. And the fact also that I don't really go to like a physical college, it's made me feel more like just kind of living life outside of school. You know, I still work on school a lot more than I'd like to, but like it's made me kind of downplay the importance of high school. Not in the sense that like I don't think that they're important at all, but maybe the emphasis that I put on high school then wasn't warranted and it wasn't necessary. Like if I would have done it again, I would not have put nearly as much emphasis on the just like this is it. Like this is not it. High school is not where your life
you're right.
really begins, you know.
That's how it was, huh?
Yeah.
That's how it was. We did really place a. Yeah, that list probably is a good example of that. Like
it's everything. A really good example, to be honest.
It's a good example. There's a lot of things we wanted to do, and it would be like a movie. And I think that's you well said. That's well said. Like that's it kind of just makes you realize how like silly some things are and how not serious some things are.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Well, 'cause, you know, too in college, I think it's similar because. You kind of go through, and my mom kind of reiterated this, but it's a similar experience between college and high school, and something kind of magical happens in college that I think carries on. But I'll tell you after.
Yeah, we'll tell you after this quick intermission.
Intermission.
Be right back.
And you know what? You should be ashamed of yourself because you know this was inappropriate, right? But just from the beginning, you were just like what?
I'm just right.
Exactly. And now you're what?
Palpatine.
Sure, but more importantly, you're...
Rey Skywalker.
Sorry. I'm trying to get you to say you're...
Do it! Anyway, before I was so rudely interrupted.
By the intermission, yeah.
Anyway, what was I saying? College, something happened.
Yeah, you were saying that like your mom kind of gave you this... kind of idea that something special happens in something along those lines.
Something I've learned is so first my mom was talking, we were talking about how I was nervous heading into college freshman year.
I remember.
I was heading to college and I think, you know, I'm going off into mental tangents, but I was like, Mom, I'm nervous. I don't know what I'm going to do. And this was, I think, when I was still thinking about going on campus.
I can see how that idea would make it even more like up there.
Yeah.
Right.
So she said, you know what? Like straight up, she's like, you know what? You went through the same thing freshman year of high school. I'm like, right. That's it. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But I was I was like, you're right. And heading into my job, I think, and we talk about this a lot about being comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And one thing I've taken, like when I started my job, and being patient with that. And I think other things, the way I think about kind of approaching some things in life. What was I saying? The thing that happened in college that sets it apart from high school is because I think you kind of start to see a repetition in, a challenge that was first very heavily perceived in high school as being, insurmountable or huge.
Yeah.
But this time you're in college and it's like, wait, I've seen this before, right? And when you, not just college too, but like when you approach some other things taking chances on something new or applying for a job in my case, I think you start to see more of a repetition as you go on with different things, and it kind of, what sets this different than high school is because high school I think was more of like the foundation for giving you the experience, and that's when people say you went through this before, you had to first go through it,
right? And like high school kind of provides that in some way.
High school was I'd say, so when I ask myself the question of has anything changed, I think it's just, I think high school is a very critical period in order to like pave the way for how I think about certain things in the future. Because what I was saying before is that, now that you kind of see repetition in some things, you had to go through high school to kind of give it that foundation.
Yeah.
And so, where was I even going with that? Yeah.
I don't know, to be honest.
We're talking about that. Yeah. It's a special time, Adrian. Yeah. It's a special time.
Well, I think you were going off of, you asked me a question of what has been an experience or something along those lines now that makes you look back at like the past a bit differently. Mm-hmm. So I guess I'll throw that same question back on you. Like, has anything that you've gone through in college made you look at anything that happened in high school through a different lens? The way you kind of did for me.
I apologize, man. I think I accidentally cut you off. I think.
Maybe a little bit, but I think I got my main point across.
Sorry,
I think I got my main point across.
I'm sorry. That was rude of me. I'm sorry, man. Sorry, bro.
It's all good, bro.
Look at us. I think we're doing good so far. Can I just address that right
Yeah.
I think we're doing really good.
I think we're doing pretty good too. Just take a swig of Jack Daniels. No, I'm joking.
Exactly. College? Anything I went through that changed my views?
Yeah, well, like basically the same thing you asked me where, obviously we're not done with college, but from the start of your freshman year of college to now having finished your finals week of your first semester of second year of college, has anything happened between that time that has made you kind of, how people say you look at things through like rose-colored glasses, like that's when you're like in the lovey-dovey stage of like a new relationship. Like we all have like filters that we see the world through, worldview kind of type things, and we have that kind of lens when we look back at things, right? Everything that happened to us, we can look back through with a certain lens that makes us interpret it, right? Yeah. Like an experience that was a bad experience, we look at it through a negative lens, kind of just that kind of thing. So like, has any, I guess the way I'll word it is, has anything that you've experienced in college made you look at things that happened to you in high school with a different lens, that maybe you didn't look at it that way in high school, but now in hindsight you are able to not necessarily appreciate it, but think about it in a different way than you did then?
High school really was there were a lot of times in high school, the first thing I can think of is with my parents and handling kind of, I was turning 18 and there's a lot of drama going on with how often I would visit my dad and kind of being the mediator between these two parts of my family, and then that's the first thing I thought of.
Yeah, that's tough, isn't it?
Yeah, and that, and like how to deal with relationships, like romantic or friendships. I think the thing that sticks with me first is probably my parents. First of all, I was a little confused by then. I think the thing that confused me too was when I would come home. I think I had a bit more of a mature reaction than my stepdad probably expected. You know, I would come home because he went through something similar when he was younger. But I think he handled it differently. So when I come home and I'd say, you know what, that sucks that this happened, or it's cool that this happened, blah blah blah. But you know, this is how I feel. And I think for both my parents, it was hard. It was hard because I don't think they could understand that, because I don't think at their age, at their perception, they can imagine them acting like the way that I acted. And so
I've experienced that too.
There were I know for sure you've experienced that too.
Yeah.
We talked about this too.
Yeah.
But I for the longest time I felt very out of place, you know, because I was like, am I acting oddly to this? Am I just like holding everything in? So for the longest time I was, you know, I always thought something was wrong with me and that I wasn't reacting the right way, because it sounded like the right way to react, and I felt that way too. But I think one thing about college and kind of backtracking to getting a C in statistics, but before, even for my parents, I love them to death, man. I love my parents, but I think sometimes there are things where I would just take their point of views and I would just take it to the next level, and it's not always for like a good thing too, you know?
Oh, okay.
I think you understand. I know you probably understand more than some other people, but I think statistics, when we were talking about the grade I got or some other things, it didn't really hit as hard. And I think the reason for that is I think so far college has, and exactly like backtracking to what you said about how going through college kind of places a different weight and emphasis, and you know, your mindset about going through college. Bro, I swear I need to write all this down because I'm like...
I'm glad we're recording this, actually. Like, we could at least like go back and look at it. Listen back.
But yeah, I think it helps me understand that, you know, people really do... Looking back at those times, I would really be like confused and about certain things, or I told you that I would blow it out of proportion, and I would take certain things with a heavier weight than others. You know, but okay. So what I think in college is you really start to learn how to like advocate for yourself and set your own standards for success. And so, you know, wow, it's starting to click now. For the longest time, it would be like I would, you know, feel bad about this or place like standards on myself because of what other people thought. But I think you have to go through high school and you have to go through some of college, and I think we still have plenty more to go through. Enough to really start to generate a little bit of a sense for who you are and like what's important to you. And then when you kind of get that idea, you can start to figure out ways to, you know, work around like the values in your life and how to actually act on those things. So I think high school is a time, and it's still weird saying this because we're not really that far off high school, but high school is a time where it's we're still figuring ourselves out, and even in college you're still figuring yourself out, which is a thought I had a while ago. Like, I'm so glad we're still young enough that we can still say we're trying to figure things out. I know. It's not gonna last forever. I know, because I think the way we talk, it's like we're old people, and it's like, you know, we cross the lines, but I think...
I guess sorry to cut you off, but
no, you're good. I finished my thought.
To high schoolers, I think that to them we're kind of old, because I remember when we were in high school and we would look at like 20-year-olds, 19-year-olds, when we were like even just 17, we were like, whoa, you know, like those are college kids, cool, they get to go places, you know. Yeah, it's like we like I went to go pick up my brother from a dance he recently went to, and Christian accompanied me there, and we were walking around watching all the people from the dance come out. Yeah. And Christian was like, dang, dude, like we used to, what did you say exactly? You said something along the lines of like, you know, here's what you said. You said these juniors and seniors that are walking out of the stands, he said, we used to think that those were the cool kids, you know, these juniors and seniors that we see walking around, you know, going to their parents' cars and stuff like that. And then here we are just like strolling around, like chilling, and it was just kind of a weird feeling where it kind of hit me when you said that a lot of those people, if I were in a different time, would be the people who I looked up to. And now I'm not like looking down in a derogatory way, but I am looking down from a perspective of I have like a couple years on you. And it's a couple more experiences than maybe you've had. And it's just kind of a weird thing where it put it into perspective. And I think that actually even shrinked high school a bit more, you know, it's like, I don't necessarily have a cynical view of high school. I personally didn't enjoy it. Like, my experience of it wasn't maybe as good as it could have been.
Everyone is different too.
Yeah, but I don't disagree that it is an important time in the sense that it's you know, you are definitely laying the groundwork, as you said, for whatever you're going to do after that, especially college, in the sense that high school and college are laid out pretty much the same exact way. Freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, semester, quarter, whatever. Yeah. You have finals, you have midterms, you have, you know, teachers just become professors, and, you know, your commute from your neighborhood just becomes maybe a longer commute or something like that, you know. And instead of a diploma, you get something that might help you out a little bit more if you use it right, you know. So it's like, especially in college, looking at high school, I can see the crossover and how similar they are. So it's like, if you're able to kind of nail what high school is, then I feel like you can pretty much pinpoint all the aspects of college and just amplify it just a tad. Yeah. But it's not, because it's basically, high school is college light. That's all it is. It's like, it's like, and college is just high school amplified a bit. It's they're not too far off of each other. You just happen to be older and have more ability. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's more responsibility, accountability.
And at that time in your life, like you were saying, kind of finding, you know, what, like the way you think about things and stuff, as opposed to maybe like, you know, your parents and stuff like that. It is that time where you're trying to find autonomy, and you're trying to basically, you're not, I mean, I know we personally believe that families should be tight, you know, and that you shouldn't forsake your family, you know, but I think it is also a situation where especially young men need to detach from their family and then be able to start their own. But that begins with first becoming your own man, so that you can even lead a family. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Because it's, I mean, I can only imagine how hard it is to become a father or a husband. And not to say that everyone has themselves figured out, because you're always figuring yourself out to some degree. But I think that there's a lot of figuring out that has to happen pretty early on, so that you're okay. And that you can learn incrementally as you get older.
That's true.
But it's like, at this point, I think it is important, and I think it does, like what you were saying, it is a pretty big time, that kind of high school, especially college phase, where you're trying to figure out where you stand on certain things, you know, where your parents stand, how they interact, you know, and you might have some weird, you know, maybe undesirable conversations, because you find out that you and your parents maybe don't agree on, you know, a few things, and that is a point for contention, you know. But you have to learn to, like you said, be able to stand your ground, in the sense that, you know, you need to become your own person. And your own person doesn't mean that you have to be completely opposite to your parents, right? Because that's the whole teenage rebellion mindset. Whatever my parents are, I'm going to be the complete opposite of that, you know? Yeah. Just despite, like, that's every teenager's kind of go-to, right? But as you get older, what you realize is that your parents were actually right on a lot of things for the most part. But then you also find out that maybe there are a few things where you're like, oh, okay, they don't know everything, right? They knew more than I thought, but they don't know everything. That's kind of the key.
Ooh, did you just come up with that?
Yeah.
That's wild.
I know, it's crazy. Cool. But basically, yeah, I mean, it's true. I mean, I guess it's a good way, it's an easy way of thinking about it, right? They know more than you thought when you were like a high schooler, but when you're in college, you know that they also don't know everything. And so you can't get all your answers from them anymore. You actually have to start finding them on your own. Right. And when you start finding your own answers, like, you're going to start interacting a bit differently maybe than they were if you find a certain way of doing it. So like maybe the way they were looking at you, like, oh, maybe I reacted differently, doesn't mean that, that means that that's just where they were when they were at that age. Because now they probably would act similar to you, but they're just surprised that you're acting that way at your age.
That's true. That was a scary part too.
So it's, yeah.
I would definitely say that in terms of like, has it changed the way I view high school? So far, I don't think it has. The main thing I'm thinking about right now is that it's made me more grateful for what's happened in high school.
Yeah.
I think we're hitting a lot of solid points right now.
Yeah,
but
I think so too.
The main thing that comes about those things is just in the moment, high school must have been like the best thing in the world or the worst thing ever. But in the end, like, I think regardless of how it was, I think you can look back on it, and I think regardless of the kind of experience you had, even if it's 1 year or they're all years, I think those 4 years can be very critical to like self-growth. Example, like maybe you may have had a bad 4 years and you could think to yourself, I could have improved on this and this, I'm going to do better now. Or it could have been the best 4 years of your life and would have, it could set the tone differently, I guess, for how you choose to go about years after that. And what you begin to chase. Which did we do an episode on that, like motivations or something? Lightly, we touched on that a little bit.
I'm sure we did. We've definitely, high school has been. Well, it's kind of our like nearest experience, that we can like talk about. Like, okay, we bookended it. We started high school, we ended high school. Everything in between, we have in our knowledge, so we're just gonna spill it because that's what we know, right? Mm-hmm. Once we finish college, I'm sure we're gonna be talking more about. This is how college went. This is what we learned from that, and we're just gonna keep going incrementally, because you can only really talk about what you've you can only talk about like sound wisdom and then what you've gone through and then apply that wisdom to it.
That's true. I think either way, I'm really grateful for high school, and I was not aware of it like during, because you had to go through it like all the way and had to have time to like kind of make connections, I guess. But I'm really grateful for it, and I think what kind of makes that, how that ties into college, is because the choices I make or the things I want to try are mostly in part because of like the things I've learned in high school, the lessons that I'm trying to carry with me. So it's something that I'll still carry with me. I'm very grateful for high school, like I already said, and I'm going to try to not repeat the same mistakes, and like from here on out, like see it as like learnings, like look back here and there and be like, what did I learn from that, or what do I want to keep going that this happened in those years. So that's how I feel about Adrian. And so let me ask you one more question.
Let's make sure that we answer like the main
let me ask you the
thing.
question. So now that I just said what I said,
we're professionals, we can do this, right? Don't have a laugh attack like I did in that one episode. Don't do it.
I don't know what you were laughing about though.
I remember what it was. I coughed or I sneezed weird, and I thought it was super funny. It was that one night where we pre-recorded like 4 episodes, and it was like 2 a.m. When you get to that point at night where everything becomes funny.
It is. It's already to that point.
I was there, man, and it was that sucked. And we were only like 2 episodes in, and I was like, this is not gonna go well.
We recorded 4 episodes.
We recorded 4 episodes that night, and I think I started laughing at like the second or third one. So I was like, we still got like 1 or 2 more of these to go, and I'm already like dying. But
So Adrian,
that was fun.
But I have a lisp.
Weird.
High school.
That's a thing. Yeah, I guess. Well, was high school is the is the question, is high school worth it?
No.
Yeah, no.
Okay, I'm sorry. What were you saying?
Well, I guess let's just. I'm gonna pose this question, and we'll both
Yes.
give our thoughts on it, right?
Alright.
So,
You go first.
was high school worth it? I'm gonna say
3.
high school
2.
was worth
Yes.
the experience that I had there, and it was difficult and it sucked, and I didn't like high school, and I'm just gonna be upfront with that.
Okay.
There were moments of
You honestly
happiness.
didn't like high school?
Honestly, yeah.
Like, the whole time you thought it was bad?
Well, no, I'm gonna go into kind of the nuance
Why?
of it,
Just kidding. Okay,
but there were moments of like joy and happiness where I was with like you and Nick and Lucas or something like that, or football games especially were highlights whenever we could just all hang out, and it was kind of a social event.
Mm-hmm.
And any real thing that, you know, incorporated any kind of extracurricular, like whenever we would stay after school and film or,
Yeah.
you know, something like that, like there were, or like relationships and that kind of thing, like when they were good, you know, like there were plenty of moments in high school where I was like pure joy. And I can say with confidence that there was a point in high school where I was the happiest I've ever been. And if I'm being completely honest with myself and the audience and you, I have not been that happy since. Which is mostly on me, I'm pretty sure. So I'm not trying to discourage anyone, but that has been my experience. But those negative experiences were, you know, plagued a lot of my high school days. They were definitely the most teaching, and I learned more from those days than I did any time in the classroom. And so, you know, like those memories, those times, they stick with me more. And I don't think it's just because they were bad, because there was good times that stick with me just as much. But I think that I don't want to judge high school, was it worth it, based on how much happiness I gained from it. I want to judge it based on how much it affected, like how I continue the rest of my life, right? So I know that going into college, a lot of the mindsets that have helped me the most in college have come from me learning from the mistakes and the bad days of high school that I loathed so much, but at the same time I learned the most from. And a lot of the perspectives that I have now, and definitely a strengthening of my Christian beliefs and faith, have come from high school. You know, I became a Christian in high school, learned, I mean, so much about, you know, the Bible, way more than I ever had, and really delved into it, you know, deep. And, you know, I probably wouldn't have done that had high school not happened the way that it happened. And for that, I'm invaluable, right? You know, I can't thank that enough. You know, now I'm saved Christian. Like that's the best thing that can happen in someone's life, right? So yeah, it was a negative experience overall that was dotted with happy experiences, but I learned, I think most of my growth has happened because of that. So I can't talk bad about, I can't say that it was worthless, because it wasn't worthless.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's like what you said. Everyone's different, right? I know you. That's not the first time I guess you've told me. It's the first time I think you phrased it like that. But I mean, the main point is I think you've told me that before. So it's not like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. But that makes sense.
Yeah. And I'm
I mean,
not
that's
trying,
bad. I mean, it's
I'm
not a
not
bad
trying to,
Make us
because
feel
again, well, it doesn't really matter in that case, but it's like you obviously, I'm sure, have a far more positive outlook on high school, right? But it's like,
but yeah, you're right.
As far as, because the question isn't necessarily like, did you like high school? It's, was it worth it? You know? Okay. So for me, high school was worth it because it provided both those positive and negative experiences that made me a little better able to discern things and to be able to kind of apply some knowledge that I gained there to things that I would do later, you know? So yeah, it was worth it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'll let you
Okay.
kind of give your
I see that. I respect that.
your thoughts.
That's cool. High school was worth it because why was high school worth it? High school. Let's go. High school gave me a lot of opportunities to make mistakes and do things. It gave me kind of the platform to myself to. It gave me the experiences to set me up for this transition period I'm in right now, to reflect back and say, what was that? To look back and say, high school was basically do this, do that, or go through this. And now college right now for me is like, okay, so what was that, or what did I learn from that? That's kind of sticking with me. So high school gave me those experiences. I think you're right. High school too has a huge influence over the kind of person I am today. Like when it comes to faith, hobbies, hobbies that I've taken up in new interests, and people I've met too. Because at the high school, not only got people from Cuesta, but you got people from any people that know, though I'm addressing the camera, that don't know what it is. We're like in a place where it's separated by little villages.
Yeah.
Cuesta, Bethany, Wickland, those are the main things. They have their own middle schools.
And then all those people from the middle schools end up at the high school. And
yeah, and even people from out of state that haven't even gone there. And so we met a lot of cool people, Nick, Lucas, even Hallie and Maggie, and even teachers, Mr. Campos.
Yeah.
And everyone, they've all offered something that I couldn't. And they've taught me about things for good or for better or for worse. About kind of how I want to be like, and I've taken things from their character that I want to take for myself too and adapt. So high school was worth it because it gave me that chance to do that, and it was fun. It was fun for me. I know we have different views on it, but it was fun. Like planning the events, there are things I wish I could have done better, and there's things I wish I could have like taken a chance on. But I think for the most part, going to the games, times when we would hang out after school. It was fun. It was a fun time. And yeah. So I think that for anyone out there that may be doubting, kind of maybe thinking like high school really isn't worth it. Should I really be going through this? I guess I would just challenge them, like, you don't need to be thinking about that right now. Like, just go through it. Just go through it.
Honestly,
you'll have time to think about that and reflect on that. I think
you can't reflect on anything that hasn't happened yet.
That's true.
Right. I mean, Gianna, I don't want to cut you off for anything you're trying to thought.
I was just gonna say that if there's one thing I wish I could have done more in high school, it's because you're a bit younger, and as we said, the stakes, I guess maybe, depending on who you're talking to, maybe aren't as high as in college, give or take. I really wish that I would have, this isn't things I regret in high school video, but I really wish that I would have just not only put myself out there, but tried anything, regardless if I thought it would lead somewhere or not. Because looking back, I mean, you'll go through experiences in high school, but I would like to have more experiences to say I tried that, or this was interesting, but I never really took much away from it. So just, it encourages me still to change my course of action and to put myself out there, because it's never too late. But yeah, that's it. I'm done.
Nice. Well, that's all solid. I mean, yeah, for sure. And then would you say that most of your high schooling was, because I'm not trying to necessarily put a downer on high school, because it doesn't have to be the way I experienced it, but
right.
Would you say that high school was more so positive or more so negative for you?
Positive. Yeah, I would say positive. There were negative times for sure, and there were times where I was very confused and made it seem like the end of the world.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I don't think I ever hit like a consistent streak of it being like, oh, high school, like, how I foul the high school. Yeah, it was more of like, so I would say positive.
Yeah. Yeah, to be honest, I don't think that a lot of it's even on high school for me. The more I think about it,
Yeah.
I don't think that it's high school.
It's more of just like a specific element.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess it's not really exactly, the more I think on it, necessarily fair for me to put it on a high school. I think the reason I associate it with it is because that's where I was. That's what I was doing at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. And I like the people element that you added to it, because it's not just what you go through, right? It's what other people kind of instill on you and stuff like that, like teachers and stuff. So yeah, that's true. So consensus, worth it. So
we'll see. Screw it.
Like
high school really isn't worth it at all.
Honestly, in a few months, we're probably going to do a podcast like why high school sucks.
Why we were just kidding.
Yeah, this is an April Fool. The early April Fools or late April Fools. I don't even know.
Is April Fool's on the 1st?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
January,
but I don't know
February,
if it's
January, February, March. April.
Yeah.
So like 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
4 months basically.
Would you call that like early January, like early April Fools or late April Fools? Because they're still in the same year as the previous one. So is it like
early.
Early
because it's more months away looking back.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. Cool.
Yeah.
I can work with that.
So, yeah, Adrian, I like that, man.
Yeah, that was a solid episode. I'm glad that we were able to.
That was my favorite episode of.
That was actually a really good one. I'm glad that we, because we were talking about this a little bit off camera, but a lot of the time, Christian and I will finish recording a podcast, or it'll be a little bit beforehand, and we'll have like a really cool deep conversation that
hours sometimes even.
Oh, easily, yeah.
And we're
it's
kind of recreating that right now.
That's what we're trying to do, and I think we did it well.
Yeah, it's very chill. The way we're talking to is like, because I think when you're on camera, there's this whole thing where it's like you have to be extra. I'm not saying that we don't put effort to do, what you should on camera.
There's definitely effort put in, but
yeah, it's. I think it's different for a podcast than a YouTube video.
Yeah.
Because podcasts are more intimate. I think it's really cool when we realize that and kind of bring it back.
Well, what I think about it is like a podcast basically in its purest form is just audio. And so the visual, I think instead of being the main course, should be more of like you're like a fly on the wall looking at the conversation. So I'm glad we were able to try this out. I think we got a good conversation out of it. And hopefully that, you guys who were listening, you guys who were watching, you got some good info out of it. If you're in high school, out of high school, just starting high school, whatever. Well, no, I'm starting high school right now. I'm stupid, but just whenever this podcast graces you, hopefully it helps in some way.
Hopefully it graces.
But with that, on that note of gracing, we have the verse of the day.
Yes, we are
Christian
going
Caito.
to turn to.
Oh, looks like we're in trouble.
Peace Psalm. Psalm 107, verse 1.
Nice.
Oh, give thanks unto the
Why
Lord.
are you reading it like that?
What?
Why are you reading it?
Like what?
It's not a nature documentary.
Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endureth forever. Endureth.
Christian's not okay.
Give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endureth forever. Give thanks. Be grateful for the Lord. Why, Adrian?
Well,
simply because it's eternal grace.
Yeah, I mean,
we should be grateful for that. I think that's pretty good. Out of all the things in the world that's like temporary and very fleeting,
yeah.
one thing we can rely on is.
Well, I mean, again, you can't. It really is true. You cannot thank God enough. No matter how many times you thank him, you're never going to be able to thank him enough for everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, and especially today, where a lot of people are very adversarial. I mean, this isn't the podcast topic, so I'm not going to get into it. But in a world where there's a lot of adversary towards maybe Christianity or God, I think it is important for Christians and so forth to really stand up for like how good God is, and to really prop that up whenever we talk about him. Like I don't think that Christians, especially if you're listening and you're a Christian, you should ever maybe downplay God in front of other people, or like maybe for the sake of just trying to kind of assimilate, you kind of downplay your own faith. I think that we should be very open and very very straightforward about the mercy that God's granted us and the thankfulness that we have for that, because it's great to be thankful for God internally and so forth, but when you show it out to other people, I think that they can gain something from that by you just expressing it to them openly and just saying, look, I thank God for these things and so forth and that. Yeah, it may not resonate with people, but it's just one of those things where I think it's a positive thing to really say it. So yeah, good first.
I agree.
I like it.
Hey, nice episode. Man.
Shake and bake.
Shake and bake.
Why?
Adrian,
Right.
what else do we have to say?
I don't know. I wish I had where's the script, right? Well, thank you guys for watching the 62nd episode of the Art of Awesomeness podcast. Super happy to have you guys tuning in and listening. The holidays are approaching. Obviously, it's finals week for a lot of people, and it's a busy time of year. So as busy as it is, I would encourage you guys spend some time with your family, talk to your friends, that sort of a thing, and get in the Christmas spirit. Get excited for those things. I don't know if the camera can see, but we got some lights going.
Yes, the camera can see.
Trying to be festive and so forth. So we hope that you guys are enjoying your time. We'll see you guys next week.
Christmas. I love.
Oh, go ahead.
No, it's okay.
No,
I'm done.
no, it's
I
okay.
actually don't mean it. So
Well,
go ahead.
I'm done too. So it's kind of like yikes.
Okay. Do you actually want to get Chick-fil-A tomorrow? Or no?
Yeah, we can do it. It's fine. What time?
No, okay. No, obviously not in the morning because you're not a morning person. Maybe around lunch because my thing's at 3.
Yeah, I know. So, but that doesn't give us much time. All right, yeah.
3 o'clock. Yeah, if we go around like 12 or 1, I could be fashionably late to my own party.
It's your own party?
Well, we're having people over.
Oh, okay, got
Yeah.
it. Oh, to your house.
It's
Okay, got it.
Yeah, but
So you're like the host, so you got to be like.
Well, it's I'm more of like the host child, so it's.
Oh, okay, I see.
I gotta be late. I'm like the reason why they come to see me.
So like you're. Dang. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey.
Yeah. So we'll iron that out.
We'll work that out.
Yeah.
But until then, we'll see
yeah.
you guys on next week's episode, the 63rd episode of the Art of Awesomeness podcast. We love you all. Take care.
All
right. That was
Dude,
a solid
that was a
episode.
great
That was
episode.
awesome, dude.
That was a
I
great
love that
episode.
episode.